Hey guys, I'm Vincent, and in this video I want to tell you guys why I think Republicans need to nominate Nikki Haley for president in 2028. In my last video, I told you guys why John Fetterman would be the best candidate for Democrats, and that's because he's a very popular senator from Pennsylvania, and as a result would do well there as well as likely Michigan and Wisconsin, because popularity in the Midwest typically equals an election victory. Now, Nikki Haley does not come from the Midwest, she comes from South Carolina. However, she brings something that even John Fetterman does not. Fetterman says what he thinks. However, what he thinks are not moderate. He is moderate for sure when you compare him to the further left of his party, because almost everyone in the Democrat Party has gone quite far left at this point. But on the right, you have people like Trump, who is somewhat center-right in a way that Fetterman is. If you imagine Fetterman is a certain distance to the left, Trump is that around that distance to the right. Now, Nikki Haley is a lot more moderate than Trump is, so you can imagine Nikki Haley being more moderate than Fetterman is too, and I would say that's a good representation of where she is politically. Haley is an extremely moderate Republican. She is pro-life, but I would say that's about the only thing that she has an opinion on that would be outside of Trump's positions. She has repeatedly stated a pro-Israel ideology, pro-UN, pro-NATO. She is not isolationist, and she is pro-women while being simultaneously pro-unborn baby. And that is a lot more relatable than what someone like J.D. Vance says. And I'd like to go through what I think would happen if it was, for example, Nikki Haley versus Gavin Newsom, or Nikki Haley versus Kamala Harris. Because especially in the Gavin Newsom scenario, you would have states like, obviously, the typical states. These Washington, Oregon, California would vote for her by pretty sizable margins. Hawaii, I'm sorry, not her. Her if it's Harris, but would vote for Newsom by pretty sizable margins. Illinois would go for Newsom easily. New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all the usual ones. But what I'm trying to get across to you guys is that swing states are the most important states in any election, obviously. And John Fetterman does really well in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. However, there are a couple of really important states that Nikki Haley would do better than him in. For example, Nikki Haley, I would say, has a very high chance of winning North Carolina. I would say North Carolina and Georgia would become lean states if Nikki Haley is on the ballot. While I would say Pennsylvania becomes tilt blue, and Michigan for sure becomes tilt blue. Now, Nikki Haley. Now here, let me specify. If this is with John Fetterman, I could totally see these states going blue. If it's with Nikki Haley wins Pennsylvania, and perhaps Newsom wins Michigan. But if it's Fetterman, then I would say this is blue. But let me go back to what I was saying. If Nikki Haley is on the ballot against an unpopular California liberal, she wipes the floor with him. Because voters do legitimately want a female president. They want that to happen at some point. The problem is that the last couple of candidates have been fairly unrelatable for the most part. I mean, Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton, the only two major party female candidates to ever appear, were both effectively using celebrities to campaign, which is not a particularly relatable way to do so. And as a result, they lost, both by narrow margins to Donald Trump. Now, Nikki Haley doesn't have that problem because all of the celebrities are going to go endorse whoever the Democrat are, for the most part. And the normal people, generally, are going to vote for Haley because she will get all of the voters Trump gets, or Vance would get. I mean, all of them, none of them would ever vote for a Democrat anyway. Same reason Fetterman always wins California. Newsom always wins California. But Newsom doesn't win Pennsylvania. Fetterman does. That's why you pick Fetterman over Newsom, because Newsom does not have the appeal there. It's simple math. You want California, but both get California. So you get the guy who can get both California and Pennsylvania. Nikki Haley gets somewhere like Oklahoma. That's not a big deal. Her getting Oklahoma is the same thing as Vance getting Oklahoma, but Nikki Haley gets Pennsylvania. Nikki Haley gets Michigan. And then Wisconsin's a pure toss-up. There's no real change there, I would say. I would say if Fetterman runs, Wisconsin's probably a bluer state. If Haley runs, it's probably a redder state. But Wisconsin's very much a toss-up. And by the way, guys, this assumes that it's Fetterman versus Vance and Haley versus Newsom. In a later video, I'll talk about Haley versus Fetterman, because I think that's the ideal scenario for both parties. What they really want, or I should say what the most competitive scenario would be. What both parties want, obviously, is for them to run their best candidate and for the opposing party to run some whack job that nobody knows. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But the most competitive scenario would be Fetterman versus Haley for sure. But let me just finish filling in this map. Assume that the Democrat is Newsom and the Republican is Haley versus of these. So you could say for sure all of these states would go for Newsom. New Jersey by a smallish margin. Vermont for sure. This would be a close election. Actually, no, I think Haley would have a shot at winning New Hampshire, to be honest with you. Because, I mean, if you look at the New Hampshire primaries from 2023, where Nikki Haley actually got pretty close to beating Donald Trump, that should show you how excited Republicans are about Nikki Haley there. And I think Nikki Haley would have a definite shot at winning New Hampshire. I would say it'd be a very close election, but she would definitely have a shot at it. Oh, nuts. But yeah, that'd be all solid. And then that's lean. Then you got a couple of other states, like Ohio would be solid, Iowa. You fill in all the other solid Haley states. So you can just get a feel for how sweeping this victory would be as compared to someone like Vance. If you look at Arizona, I mean, you can see immediately this is already an election victory without even needing some other states that she would win automatically, like Utah or Wyoming or Idaho or Montana or North Dakota. Already election victory. Like, I would say Wisconsin is probably tilt red in this scenario. Yeah, against Newsom it's tilt red. Nevada would be lean red as well. If you've seen this right shift, it's for sure lean red. And then Colorado, solid blue. New Mexico, lean blue. Minnesota would be tilt blue. And Virginia would be tilt blue. Solid blue here. Solid red there. And lean blue there. And I mean, this is a no toss-up map, right? So you're going to have miscalculations and such, but effectively, I mean, this is the margin that Trump won by, with the exception of New Hampshire. And I think that people think Trump was an anomaly. I think Trump was only an anomaly because Republicans were sticking too far to further right candidates. I mean, the fact that Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy had a chance at the nomination seems pretty insane to me. Because Vivek and DeSantis would, particularly Vivek, I don't think really have a chance at the presidency. He's just too far to the right. Now, Nikki Haley would definitely beat Gavin Newsom. She would definitely beat Kamala Harris. I think she would do better against Newsom than she would against Kamala Harris by a little bit, because people would probably want the women voter in Kamala Harris also. But generally, she would just obliterate every Democrat, except for John Fetterman. I'll tell y'all what would happen between those two later on, but this is my opinion on the whole thing regarding that. I mean, if you look at her record, right, she was a governor of South Carolina and then a UN ambassador. So you've got a lot of these isolationist Republicans, right, who have problems with, oh, we need to cut off all immigration, cut off access to other countries, and just be America, America, America. And you need to have the patriotism that is required to be a president. That's obvious. And you need to understand that America first is an obvious priority. But saying America and nobody else is a lot more dangerous. And I think Nikki Haley would be a lot better about showing people she doesn't actually intend to do any of that. And that's the important thing there. So, yeah, I mean, this is my prediction for if it's Nikki Haley versus Gavin Newsom. In the video I had with John Fetterman, assume that Fetterman was running against J.D. Vance for that, because I don't think I made that totally clear. Also, I read your comments, and I completely agree that Fetterman has issues. Although I agree that he has problems. But what you have to remember is that candidates with problems win the presidency all the time. If you look at Donald Trump, that is a prime example. Donald Trump has many an issue, and yet has been elected twice. So that's my take on it. I still think he's the best candidate for the Democrats. You can present your arguments in the comments, and I'll try to understand what you believe. But as of now, that's my firm prediction, is that if Democrats nominate Fetterman against anyone other than Haley, they will win by a large margin. And if Republicans nominate Haley against anyone other than Fetterman, they will win by a large margin. It's the two against each other that will be competitive. That's the way I think about it. Anyway, I appreciate y'all for watching so much. If you would like to see more of this content, please subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss another one of my episodes of this series of election 2028. I'm planning on having my next episode about the Fetterman-Haley election. I'll have one about the Senate in 2026 pretty soon also, if y'all are interested in that. I'm planning on doing something about the House at some point soon. The House is a lot harder to predict because there's way more races, but I'll do it at some point. It'll be a lot longer video, but it will happen. And yeah, just tell me what you think about this, about the whole series in general, whatever you would like to say in the comments below. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.